#1. Bang, I rep BGE forever. Do the that nigga foot to the pedal. I rep BGE forever. Do the that nigga foot to the pedal. I don't know not damn one of his songs, man. Never heard this kid day in my life before this the arrest shit. D4VD, man. I don't even know if I ain't spelling that nigga name right. How I spell that nigga name? D what? D4VD. Damn. Instagram, they got a lot of D's on there. D4VD. And the boy got 1.7 million. That's not a lot for niggas that's supposed to be so big, man. Yeah, he stopped posting. It was on September the 9th. I got black, I got white, what you want? Have I been a fan of? I don't know, cause then, is this pink? I don't know, man. I got 2 twin Glocks. Yeah, it's like he had stopped posting on Instagram. They took that boy off social media. Yeah, they took him off social media. Was this the girl? Nah, that wasn't her. That's somebody famous. This nigga, man. Nah, man, I ain't never knew this dude day in my life. But I guess he had it rocking, man. He stopped posting on Instagram since they found the body in the car. He ain't got nothing on there. He ain't got nothing on there.
Interesting. So,
no. How to spell this shit, man? D what? D4. Nigga, get me confused with his name, man. They ain't even saying that, man. I just, nah, unadd that. I don't want this on my shit. Hold on, wait.
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on.
How unsay this, man? And that thing, I'm crazy.
Major breaking news now. Detectives from the Los Angeles Police Department Robbery Homicide Division have arrested singer David Burke for the murder of Celeste Rivas. Burke is being held without bail. The case will be presented to the DA's office on Monday for filing consideration. You may remember, and we've been reporting, Rivas's body was found in the trunk of David's car in September of last year. She was only 14 years old. Again, this breaking news just into our newsroom. We're working to get more information, and we'll continue to follow this story.
We do want to go ahead and bring in now ABC's Alex Stone on the phone to speak more about this case. Alex, you've been following this from the very beginning. What can you tell us as far as this breaking information goes this afternoon?
Well, Mark and Michelle, yeah, sources are telling us that this is based off of evidence that the LAPD was able to gather and put together and now is going to be presenting to the LA County DA for a filing decision on Monday. This was not from any kind of indictment. We know that the case had gone to a grand jury. It was expected that there might be an indictment coming sometime soon. We were thinking in the last couple of months or in the next few weeks. This was not from that. We are told that this is evidence that they have been compiling going back to when her body was found last September, that now they have reached a point where they believe they have probable cause, and it's gone to the DA.
All right, and so a lot of people wondering, you know, so many things seem to point to him. Why did it take them this long to make the arrest?
Yeah.
You know, they're pretty methodical about how they do things, but.
Yeah, it's a good question. One of the things that they were waiting on, Mark, was the cause of death. And there was difficulty reaching that cause of death, not to get too graphic, but her body was in multiple parts. It was in, we know from court documents, 2 different body bags in the front trunk of that Tesla when her body was found. So it was difficult for the medical examiner to determine the cause of death. So they had to prove or be able to show to the...
I mean, but it's so crazy though. Like, if he did it, why would he abandon the Tesla? And not like get rid of it or set it on fire. Maybe they hard to set on fire. Driving in the damn lake. You know what I'm saying? Like, try to do something. He just parked that motherfucker out there in the middle of a parking lot. Motherfucker went right on. Man, that car been out there a long. Out of all these cars, they like, man, that car been out there a long time.
The DA that she was murdered, that it wasn't something else where, you know, let's say that she overdosed and then somebody freaked out and put her body in that trunk. They have to be able to prove that it was murder. They now believe that they can do that.
All right.
Yeah, we also know, you know, David, as many entertainers do, had an entourage of people around him at times. I know some other individuals have been considered as drivers of this vehicle or either around. Any information on possibly how this could impact other people that David was around that also may have been around Celeste Rivas?
Michelle, we don't know yet, and if there are any other arrests that are going to be coming in this case. We know that there were a number of witnesses who came and testified in front of the grand jury, again, that this was not an indictment, that this is probable cause that the LAPD put together and moved forward on. But during the grand jury proceedings, which are secret as they're ongoing, that there were a number of other people who came forward, those who are close to David, friends of David, family members of his were subpoenaed to go in front of the grand jury. So if there are other arrests that could be coming, we don't know. But as of right now, he is the only one that we know of under arrest.
All right, singer David under arrest. Alex Stone, ABC News, thank you. We have more breaking.
They done locked D4VD up, bro.
You probably know Vistaprint for business cards.
The return of the Mac. Damn.
Has been arrested in connection to the murder of 14-year-old Celeste Rivas, according to the LAPD. This is a case that stretches back more than 2 years to when she was last seen alive. Her decomposed body found in the trunk of David's Tesla late last year. We're on the case presented by Law and Crime. I'm Chris Stewart.
Damn, bro.
All right, let's get to this breaking news coming in right now from Los Angeles. A bombshell announcement by the LAPD. I want you to take a look right here. This is the post that was put out by the public information officer with the Los Angeles Police Department on social media announcing the singer, known as David, had been arrested by homicide detectives in LA, quote, for the murder of Celeste Rivas. Now, David, his real name is David Burke. He is now being held without bond, and he hasn't been charged as of yet. The LAPD says that his case will be presented to the DA on Monday for filing consideration. We're going to go over the process here in just a moment. This is a case that has taken months to get to this point. I know so many of you have been following this, and now it seems like the next step, a major step, is still something that's going to take some time before we learn a lot of information about this case. And we'll be talking to former federal prosecutor Nima Rahmani about that here in just a moment. But as we focus now on this announcement, it may feel like a long time coming because David was announced as a suspect in November of 2025. Now, before we get into what will happen next, I do want to get you up to speed on this case because it is one that has been going on in some ways months, in other ways years. According to the LAPD, this all started in September of 2025, and that is when officers responded to an impounded lot in Hollywood after there were reports of a foul odor coming from a vehicle, a Tesla. Now that vehicle, it had been towed days earlier after it was found on a street, abandoned, it seemed, in Los Angeles. Now police say that vehicle, that Tesla, it was registered to David Burke.
Wow.
Many people in the music community know him by just one name, David, D4VD. Now when detectives searched that car, they found a body. And that body was later identified as a 14-year-old girl, her name, Celeste Rivas Hernandez. Her body was in the front storage area of the Tesla. That's like the trunk of the vehicle. And it was in a state of decomposition, law enforcement said. Investigators have said that Celeste may have been dead for weeks before she was discovered. The teen's mom told investigators that she was last seen and heard from in April of 2024. So here we are in April of 2026 with David now under arrest in connection to her murder. The last time she was seen alive, according to her mom, all the way back roughly 2 years ago. Her mom also added another point about her daughter, and it was that she had a boyfriend named David. Now, by late 2025, sources were telling ABC News that David was being considered a suspect in the case, but no charges had been filed. Yet behind the scenes, a grand jury had been hearing evidence in the case, including Burke's reported travel to the Santa Barbara area of California during the spring of 2025, and a search of the Hollywood Hills property where he was reportedly staying, and reports of a high heat burn cage found at that location. Then we go to January of this year, 2026. David's alleged close friend, a man named Neil Langston, was arrested in Montana for failing to appear as a witness in a Los Angeles grand jury investigation. And a week after that, Langston was spotted entering a Los Angeles courthouse and reportedly testified before the grand jury. But since then, for the most part, frankly, crickets in this case. No real developments, of course, until now. Joining us now to talk about this breaking news, former federal prosecutor Nima Rahmani, president of West Coast Trial Lawyers. Always great to have you on Law and Crime. Big story.
Nigga homeboy done ratted on it, man. Damn, man. He done went in there, man. Ever since he went to go testify in front of the grand jury, man, David D done got locked up, man. D4DL, what's his name? D4VD. But David, man. David.
Yeah, Los Angeles site. Just what's your reaction? Because we have been covering this for so long about David's arrest.
Chris, my reaction is better late than never. I think this was something that we've all been expecting. When a body is found decomposing in the front of your Tesla, and there has been a young girl who's been missing for quite some time, and there's plenty of evidence that
Yeah, you black. They found a body in your car. Yeah, it's pretty much done, man.
way with you, or
I'm surprised it took this long, for real. Like, it could have been an escape.
A member of your entourage. I think there was a lot of evidence here pointing to David, and really the question was, what really took so long? And I think my initial reaction is, you know, I live and work in LA. I respect law enforcement, that things can move slowly here. But I think this investigative grand jury, I think, really is the answer. I think the DA wanted to lock in some members of David's inner circle to make sure that they cooperate, they don't go sideways at trial. And I think that's what they were waiting on before they ended up arresting him.
So the announcement that came from the LAPD's
Damn, he invaded his home and took his ass on to jail.
PIO account says he's been arrested in connection to the murder of Celeste Rivas. And then it says that he's being held without bond. And then the case is going to be reviewed by the DA's office on Monday, or it goes in front of the DA's office on Monday. Like, if you can just walk us through the process of how that works, as opposed to them saying tonight, he has been charged with this and he's going to make his first appearance tomorrow.
Well, typically when you're talking about the DA, it's a reactive case. It's not like this. Law enforcement, they arrest someone, they prepare a report, that file lands on the DA's desk, and there's a charging DA that makes a decision. It's a little bit different in this case because it's more of a proactive investigation. Obviously, Celeste Rivas has been missing for quite some time and has been dead for also quite some time. So you have this case that has been worked on for.
And the mama said she got a boyfriend named David. Like, you don't know that nigga famous? I ain't know that nigga was famous neither, honestly, until this shit happened. But I'm saying though, like, damn, and you don't know he 21 and shit? Like, was she not going to school no more?
More than 6 months now. I mean, I think, if I recall correctly, Celeste's body was found in September. Yeah. We all saw the video of the car being impounded and that search. Then, of course, law enforcement executed search warrants at David's home. Again, months and months ago. So this is the type of case that isn't just a file that lands on some DA's desk. This is a case that is being directed by prosecutors at the district attorney's office. They convene this investigative grand jury. And we know that a grand jury has two functions. In most states and at the federal level, their function is to indict, but it also has an investigative function. They have subpoena power, so they can subpoena people, witnesses, they can subpoena information and documents, and that's what the grand jury was doing in this case. So it seems to me that the prosecutor.
Like, I did see some shit where they were like, he was making like weird music, but he looked like he made weird music. Like, he looked like he almost finna be on some Juice WRLD shit, man. I ain't never listened to none of that music. I hard to play a song or something, man. You know what I'm saying? He looked like he might be, what is that? A flower? I don't know. Got 6ix9ine type
has this all buttoned up right now. This is the type of case they're reacting to. This is a case where they think we not only have enough probable cause to get that arrest warrant and get past a preliminary hearing, but we have enough to prove the case beyond a reasonable doubt to a jury at trial.
Do you think that this came as a surprise to David tonight, this arrest?
I think given how long it's taken, maybe folks have forgotten about it, but obviously there's been a lot of attention on this case and frankly, a lot of negative media attention. Again, I sit here in LA and a lot of folks are asking, what is LAPD doing? How could a young girl be missing for so long? How could her teacher give an interview saying that she ran off with someone named David? How could her body be found in the trunk of a vehicle? I mean, even if it was an accident, that in and of itself is potentially a crime. So why haven't any arrests been made? And I think really now we're going to know the answer very soon. I think the information is going to come out. We're going to have a lot more of the evidence, whether it's witness testimony, cooperators, whether it's electronic evidence, cell phones, social media. There's a lot of people watching. Social media, sleuths, detectives, they've followed that digital footprint, right? And they've seen, pictures, images on social media, the two seemingly together. And I think all those are sort of bricks in the wall that are going to eventually be the reason that David is convicted in this case.
And beyond that too, I mean, I think when you
how tough you gotta be, nigga,
think about the LA
14-year-old
like celebrities,
girlfriend.
it's not a big deal for them in the way.
Man, how tough you gotta be to have a 14-year-old girlfriend, and then how tough you gotta be in public and taking pictures and shit with her. And it sounds like you done took her from her. Is you human trafficking her? Cause goddamn, her mama just don't. The teacher don't know. The mama don't know. Nobody don't know. She just gone out taking pictures with this nigga. Alright. Nobody called or nothing. Just thugging. 14-year-old thugging. With a nigga named David. That's all they know, a boyfriend named David.
Way that it might be for other police departments across the country. When you look at the timeline, yeah, the case like certainly has these elements that we follow the developments along the way, but how much did the celebrity of David add to the timeline it took for him to be arrested in connection to this? And we'll see what they specifically accuse him of.
Well, it's interesting. The celebrity factor, people think it helps. I don't necessarily think it helps being a celebrity in LA. In fact, it draws more attention to it. I mean, obviously, look, the case I kind of gave the example of recently, she was just sentenced, Matthew Perry, right? He was involved in a drug-related death. He was a victim. But the fact that, the ketamine queen, Jasmine Song, killing Matthew Perry, and again, I'm not naive, that case was treated differently than the 2019 case when she killed someone with ketamine. So, the celebrity factor draws attention to it. The reality is we're talking about the case here on Law and Crime because it's David. And, there are many young girls that go missing, and I'm not talking about it. I'm not asked to speak about it. And it doesn't make it any different. It doesn't make it any less right. There's women that are trafficked, they're sexually abused, they're victims of violence, they're even murdered, hundreds, thousands every single day. So I think the celebrity factor probably ended up drawing more attention to it, both law enforcement and prosecution attention to the case because of who David is.
It's so easy to become a podcaster with River. Yeah, that was like this black, fake Jimi Hendrix ass nigga. Yeah, we got this motherfucker.
We talked about Nick Reiner recently, very different circumstances in that case. But I mean, just the amount of attention, the amount of cameras at court when he makes an appearance, it's just different than other families that have dealt with issues like that. When you look at this case going forward, I remember Neil Langston, one of David's friends, he gets arrested for not cooperating with this grand jury. What stands out to you just about the way, from at least on the outside, it seems that prosecutors have been going about this?
Yeah, think about that case. If I recall correctly, here's someone who refused to testify before the grand jury, and the DA's office went out of state to get an arrest warrant to bring him back to California. I mean, that's how seriously they're taking this case, if I recall correctly. So this isn't any other case. This isn't any other runaway. This isn't any other young girl who is the victim of violence. I mean, this case has been treated differently.
Damn, that boy look like a damn. What that was? Who that was? Was that Dave? That boy look like a darn. My little sister just went to prom, but she wore a motherfucking pantsuit. You heard me? Like, damn. The boy looking like a hoe. Alright, okay. All right. We ain't gonna go there. We ain't gonna. That might slander me, man. That boy like the old Michael. He could get on them Michael Jackson vibes, man.
Look, I wish LAPD had unlimited resources and time to go after all these cases. All these young girls, their lives matter, and it's sad that this is unfortunately a tale that's all too common. Obviously, we don't know what happened here. We don't know if it was an accident. She was murdered intentionally. She overdosed.
I mean, but why they chop up her legs and arms and stuff, though? If I accidentally kill somebody, how do you accidentally chop their ass up, though? That was a decomposing. Like, that's, nah, you don't get, like, that's some Jason shit. Like, that's some old, that nigga was on some demonic shit, man. Her body wasn't together, though.
She was trafficked. I mean, there's all sorts of speculation out there. I don't know exactly what happened. But what we do know is this is a young girl that was missing for quite some time. She had run away at least once before, and it took a very long time to find her. So I think during that time period, there's going to be a lot of evidence. Obviously, we've seen some of the video evidence the last time she was seen. Again, I expect there to be a lot of digital evidence. It's going to be a strong case, I think, when it's all said and done.
And when it comes to just kind of how the mechanics of the whole situation works out, so if he's arrested tonight, he's being held without bond. He hasn't specifically been charged with anything. And then you have, on Monday, it's going to go in front of the DA. Like, how are you able to hold him for that long a period of time, even through the weekend potentially?
So yeah, these Thursday arrests oftentimes end up with a Monday arraignment because of the time period. Typically, you have about 48 hours to be brought before a judge, but it ends up being the next court day. So that's why the initial appearance will likely be on Monday, where David will be arraigned on the charges. Those charges will be read aloud in court. Expect his lawyer. I think he already has a lawyer based on some of the statements that were made last year. Expect his lawyer to enter a not guilty plea, and then the process starts. Again, if it's a grand jury indictment, which is not typical, there won't be a preliminary hearing. But usually here in LA, the district attorney proceeds by a complaint and a preliminary hearing. Again, just because there's a grand jury, I believe it's just an investigative grand jury. They'd have to convene another grand jury to indict, and I don't think that's what they're going to do. Typically, what they do is in LA, they charge on a complaint. Then, after some period of time, there has to be a preliminary hearing. And at that preliminary hearing, the judge determines whether there's enough probable cause to move forward to a full-blown jury trial. So the DA will present some limited evidence, usually through a handful of law enforcement witnesses, and this process is going to get started.
And that was kind of my next question, because we don't know specifically the cause of death. At this point, we know the state at which her body was found, sadly, but then we also don't know what the charges specifically he's going to face. How much may we learn, knowing how much in LA and in California when it comes to, I think of a state like Florida, and you can find the probable cause document online. How much might we learn on Monday if that's when he's arraigned on something?
Well, I think we're going to learn a lot, obviously, the nature of the charges. So you have first-degree intentional murder, you have special circumstances, you have second-degree murder, you have manslaughter if it's an accident. Obviously, there might be charges related to moving the body. Are there going to be potential sex charges? I mean, I think that would be obviously very important. I mean, again, we're just guessing right now.
Sure.
There's no death penalty here in California. There's been a moratorium. We haven't had an execution in 20 years. So don't expect to see the death penalty regardless of what the charges are. But again, first degree intentional premeditated murder, special circumstances, if there's any type of enhancements, that's all going to be very telling. And look, it's just a matter of days before this evidence comes out.
And when you think about moving past Monday, and again, this is not a case that has developed, it feels like very slowly and very much under wraps outside of the reporting that we've seen. Like after Monday, depending on what the charges are, what does the timeline potentially look like for a prosecution of David?
Well, it's going to move quickly, and obviously it's David's right to a speedy trial, and typically what you see is the defense waives their right. They want to get the discovery. They want to get all the evidence. So what is typical is the defendant will waive time. That means they'll review the discovery, and they'll see how they can challenge this case. Now, if you're looking at murders, and again, I'm assuming this is a murder case because he's being held without bond. I mean, typically you have three types of defenses. One, it wasn't me, right? So you got finger pointing, it was an accident, or I didn't intend to do it, right? So something happened that was something less than murder, or some sort of self-defense. Now, obviously, Celeste Rivas, by all accounts, is a pretty small young girl. I would be surprised if there's a self-defense argument, just like Nick Reiner, right? Surprised if you see self-defense in that type of case. His parents are a lot older, they're in their bedrooms. But typically, if you're seeing what is the defense going to argue, they either argue identity, they argue intent, wasn't premeditated, it was an accident, something along those lines. It was manslaughter, heat of passion, illegal.
In other words, that motherfucker going to jail, y'all. D4VD is done, nigga. D4VD, his best friend that came and testified against him. In the grand jury. And then after that, this happened. Your friend go testify into the grand jury, and this right here happened. Safe to say he went on and told him everything he know, the truth. He told the truth. He trolled everything they needed, they know to goddamn come and hem you up like this. They got the boy right up. They putting the boy against the goddamn me car, man. Get down, nigga. Straight hands behind his back. Damn. D4VD.
I rep BGE forever. Do the that nigga foot to the pedal. I rep BGE forever. Do the that nigga foot to the pedal.